Well, we learned one thing on Saturday. Germany's still pretty good at football. Yeah. This was a team that was winless in 5 straight games. They beat France, and then they picked things up and were able to beat the United States. We're going to recap that here on a special Soccer OG. I was going to wait for the end of Ghana-Mexico. I'm recording this a little bit before that game because I want to preview that ahead of Tuesday's game in Nashville between the United States and Ghana, which now looks to be a big bounce back, which is something that they were able to do in the last window after a so-so performance against Uzbekistan, came out against Oman. Hopefully they can do something. Because, again, it's just a friendly, and we got to take it all with a grain of salt. But there is some things that are going to leave you pretty concerned after 90 minutes here. After 45 minutes, well, after 30 minutes, things were great. Things were great. And we'll break it all down here on the Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. A real special one there I think you will enjoy with Benny Feilhaber. You can check out the entire library of podcasts there. Go to where all podcasts are available for the Soccer OG podcast, which is part of the Soccer OG network, but is separate. You get your own programming here on YouTube. Like and subscribe us. We're going to keep it going. We have a series of US videos coming out that I think you'll find entertaining and interesting. So let's get right into it. I don't want to take too much time. There's a lot of great content on YouTube about this. I love what's happening here on YouTube when I talk about US soccer. Really good, smart, engaging content. This was the 11 for the United States. The big question really was, what was that midfield going to look like? I think we had a good idea. It was going to be Matt Turner in goal. Joe Scally, a minor surprise, but not really. It was going to either be him or Christopher Lund, I think. DeJuan Jones is in there too, because that Serginho Dest goes to the left side. And Joe Scally deserves to start. I think we said that. Joe Scally has hit all his marks. He has been a real American success story. We'll talk about the center backs a little bit later. It was Tim Ream, Chris Richards as expected. The midfield, Gio Reyna comes in. I thought it might be the 3/8 with Luca Della Torre, which we saw in the second half, which did not go well. Gio Reyna, a more pure number 10. Only starts here because Malik Tillman was injured. Weston McKennie and Yunus Musa behind him. And the expected front three, Christian Pulisic, Flo Balogun, and Tim Weah. Quick thought about Gio Reyna. The only reason I wouldn't have started him is because he hasn't played with Dortmund. And you could have exposed him to, being a bit flat. But he was okay. He drifted out sometimes. He only played 45 minutes, was replaced by Luca Della Torre. And I'll tell you this, when he left, things went downhill. So maybe we could look at that as the turning point. I wouldn't look at that too much. But Gio Reyna, a very promising start. And this was a 45 minutes to get his confidence back. He'll play a similar or a more expanded role, I believe, in Ghana as he gets these minutes. But he is such a class player. It's great to have him. So I think that was good news. There was some good news. This is a weird game. This was a very odd game because when we get to the half, first of all, Christian Pulisic, who is in the form of his life, to me had one of the best goals ever scored by a USMNT player. We've never seen goals like that, where he is tucked on the sideline, he beats 2 defenders, makes a 20-yard run, and then finishes top corner. That's what you would see from Lionel Messi or elite number 10s. That is just a spectacular goal, and it's going to stand the test of time. It deserved a better fate than what we saw against the Germans. In Hartford, by the way, Hartford was buzzing. I've been to Rensselaer Field. I believe I called the first game at Rensselaer Field, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe not the first. But it was Celtic-Liverpool with the John Arnorisa goal. I'm sure many people poke fun because the American announcer, I said, release the Kraken. That was me. I think that was the first game at Rensselaer Field. I used to live out there, so it was that place was packed. And that's important here because we've been at a lot of venues where it's not packed. And this is an issue. People are MLS stadiums are getting all the home games. It's not supposed to be just MLS stadiums. They're getting it because they're state-of-the-art, new, and the right size, 20 to 25,000 seats. So Renshafield's a bit of an outlier, but it proved that it should get more games. Excellent stuff from the folks there in Central Connecticut. I believe the Landon Donovan farewell game was there too, so keep it going. And the rest of these venues, Nashville, you got to pack that place. I don't know if they will, but we got to get it going. We got to get excited about these guys, even though they left us a little downtrodden by the end of the 90 minutes. But Christian Pulisic, exceptional on that goal. He should have scored prior, and he took a really bad dive, and he should have got a yellow card. He was put through brilliantly by Flo Balogun. We'll talk about Balogun in a moment. And then he mishit it and then went over. Then the ball went to the other end. Matt Turner makes this stone-cold save, comes back the other way, and the U.S. score. The U.S. had a lot of pressure and attacks. It was really nice to see the interchange of Balogun, Weah. Weah, just a deadline runner, is just a lockdown starter for the foreseeable future. Anytime we can get a lockdown starter, because I don't know if we have as many as we think we do. Obviously, Pulisic and Weah. Balogun, yes. Well, it depends on his output, and if Ricardo Pepi can really continue to get some momentum. He played okay off the bench in a small role. And then Reyna, and then even Musa and McKinney going forward. There were some nice interchanges. They could have scored a couple. They had Germany really reeling there. So that was really good. Really good, because remember, going back to the World Cup, the U.S.'s calling card is defense. We don't give up goals. We win games 1-0. And to see that, you would say, oh, great, eureka. Offense and defense are both good. We have a real good squad here. But we didn't have a good defense. And that did us in here in the end because, Flo Balogun. Having some issues breaking into that system. You can see it's going to be a process. But he has that talent. He was involved in a small way in the Pulisic goal, I guess, because he hit the ball over there. It counts. He was involved in the Pulisic miss. It was okay. We're sticking with him. There's no controversy to see if it's him or Pepi. Balogun is going to start. So Gio Reyna was good. Balogun was okay. Pulisic, credible goal. He came out, I think, in the 75th minute. He came in, for Kevin Paredes. 5 subs were used. So there were some good shots. Weah had a shot. Serginho Dest had a shot as they all moved forward. Reyna had a shot in the 26th minute. And then the goal finally came. And Germany would respond in the 39th minute from Ilkay Gundogan. You could see at halftime that the U.S. had to tighten up defensively. They missed Tyler Adams, there's no question. They missed Anthony Robinson, there's no question. To think the U.S. is going to be 100% healthy for important games is really naive because we've never really been that healthy. So you can hope for the best, but you can't assume that's going to happen. So we get into halftime. Everyone's tweeting, goal of the year. Incredible performance. We're looking good. Second half begins, and this is where Gregg Berhalter has to take blame. He made some adjustments, and it went downhill so quickly that has to fall on the coach. Regardless of how it looked, or regardless of what happened, or if players turned up, if you're 1-1 and in the second half it's one-way traffic from Germany, that is going to fall on the coach. So Gregg Berhalter had his lunch eaten here. Not his finest hour. And ESPN had a stat there where they showed against teams that were ranked in the top 20, and it was bang average. It's like 4 wins, 4 losses, 5 ties. It's got to be better because the U.S. are ranked 11th. So if you're beating top 20 teams, you've got to beat them more than you lose to them. This was a game to do it against a German team that many thought was reeling a bit. It didn't happen. Second half, Gregg Berhalter, there's no other way to describe it. It came undone. Julian Nagelsmann made the right adjustments. Gregg Berhalter didn't. Luca de la Torre comes in, rudderless in the midfield. The midfield had one of its worst days because they were leaving this field wide open. On transition plays, they would go. And that would put the defense in a bad spot. But the defense was so out of whack that to me is what stood out. They went left when they went right. And the Germans scored 3. They had 19 shots, 7 on target. They could have had 5 or 6. And I just want to bring this up because if Aaron Long, and I'm not saying Aaron Long should be on the squad or Walker Zimmerman because they play in MLS, if they were on that squad and this happened, we would be hearing people screaming bloody murder. And I see that we have created this situation where we have critical of some and not critical of others. We've got to be critical of all because based on what we saw, Tim Ream and Chris Richards should be almost persona non grata after that. And I told you in my last video I was worried about the center backs. Tim Ream starting to look like he's 36 years of age. Chris Richards not playing at his club. Both those things came to roost in this game. Richards came out in the 65th minute, but I mean, you could have taken him out earlier. He was on the hook for all these goals. He went left when he should have gone right. He had his head turned the wrong way. It was a mess. So the center back pairing, which was a strength at the World Cup, this is up for grabs. The next 6 months or 8 months before Copa America, we got to find a pairing that works. Richards and Ream are still the number 1 pairing, but they should be looking on their back. Cameron Carter-Vickers came in. Miles Robinson's in the mix. Austin Trusty is emerging. Walker Zimmerman's still in the mix. You got to find something that works because that should have been worse than 3-1. And the center backs were on the hook. They could have done so much better. Obviously, if Tyler Adams is in front of them, it's probably a different story. But he wasn't. And it was a sieve. It was insane what was happening in the United States repeatedly in that second half. Brendan Aronson came in for Weah. Cameron Carter-Vickers, okay. Didn't really have to do much. Ricardo Pepi had an impact. Johnny Cardoso, the 74th, and Kevin Paredes for Pulisic. We didn't really see enough of those 2 players to make a real good estimate. This was bad. This wasn't even the best German team. And they seized this game and were really incredible to watch. It's just, I was not used to seeing it because we could rely on our defense. Right now, we can't. Set pieces, had a lot of them. A couple were good at the beginning. It went south. Christian Pulisic took the majority of them, had a couple good corners, had this one free kick that missed everything. We talked about this during the World Cup. Is Christian Pulisic our best set piece taker? I don't know. Gio Reyna seems like the guy who could probably pop in there. Brendan Aronson took one late. It's a problem because there's a lot of stop balls in USA games. So there you have it. I don't want to drag on too much. We'll get ready for Ghana on Tuesday. Ghana's going to be a good test. Ghana have been in African Cup of Nations qualifying. They're playing Mexico. Mohamed Kudus, they did well at the World Cup. They put their hand up. The Ayew brothers, Antoine Semenyon, lots of talent and good talent, quality talent, and quantity of talent. So it's a great game. Like we said, you got to grab these October games and get the most out of them because November, it's Nations League. And who knows when we'll get to play a team like Germany or Ghana in the foreseeable future until Copa America. And that's the big problem here because we need games against quality oppositions. A, so Gregg Berhalter can start winning those games. And B, so we can be prepared because this is a team that's not going through qualifying, is going to be stretched to have important games leading up to 2026. So, as good as it started, the ending is really the talking point here and disappointing, I think, for U.S. fans. The way they responded and the way they leaked chances and goals. And personnel-wise, competition has to reign supreme. Nobody is given a spot. Serginho Dest is another one. I mean, we put him in there. He's so good moving forward, but man, he's nowhere to be seen defensively sometimes. I don't know if I'm okay with that. I think I want a stay-home defender. And that's on Berhalter too, because that's his setup. He wants those fullbacks going, at least Dest going forward a lot. Scally was okay. I like his size, and I think he'd be good. Look, in the World Cup when we played with 3 center backs, people screamed to the heavens. I was screaming for 3 center backs here at some point. I thought that would have been a good adjustment if this was a real game, because the Germans were finding too much space. But there it is. Work to be done. Hopefully there's a good bounce back to give us a good taste in our mouth. after they play Ghana in Nashville. The Soccer OG, check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. Like and subscribe us here. We will see you after the Ghana game.